At the time you're seeing this video, I'm literally doing another re-recording to give you guys more insight behind what has gone down with the failed efforts for Mike Maignan, plus more updates on more big stories. There's a lot to unpack today. Hope you guys enjoy. But before I continue on, I actually just have to put you guys onto this. From what I'm hearing from my affiliate links, the training collection for the 25-26 season is actually selling out like crazy, and they're going to run out of stock soon. So if any of you are already interested in potentially securing some items right now, this is probably your best chance at the moment. You've got a small window right now. And don't forget to use Nini10 at checkout to get a full 10% off your final order, my friends. So in the meantime, that's that. Let's now move on to discussing what has gone down involving Mike Maignan. I guess to start with things, we have to go to Romano's tweet. Makes the most sense. And as he dropped today, the deal at the moment is now off between us and AC Milan for Maignan. Yeah, it's not ideal. It's not ideal, really. As Romano says, of course, we're not willing to meet Milan's price. The deal's not proceeding in time for the Club World Cup. You don't want to pay Club World Cup tax premium, and we still maintain full trust in all the goalkeepers we have. Now, I'm going to give you guys some insight. Right now, Maignan is pissed. He's not happy. He wants to leave AC Milan. He's already given the ultimatum. He's done his bit to force this move through. He is not happy that this is how the situation is at the moment. He doesn't want to stay there. Whatever Allegri says, it's going to be hard for Milan to even meet his contract terms as well. He feels like he's kind of been kicked in the teeth a little bit, because the main reason behind why we found ourselves in this position, and I can tell you this, you guys, is that near the end, after agreeing to satisfy Milan's terms, that was going to be 19 million upfront and a further 6 million in add-ons, right? And the thing with these add-ons is that these add-ons weren't even like guarantees. You know, like how you have like easy to meet add-ons and difficult ones. There was a chance that we wouldn't have even paid the full amount of money. But in the end, the club decided to produce a low ball offer. Now, this upset AC Milan because Milan felt like the agreement was basically ready to get done. Milan have felt like we've had good relations over the years. They've also kept their words on a few things. I was told there's another AC Milan player that was still kind of keeping our eyes out for a little bit. Hint, hint. And if there was any chance we wanted to go for him, we're not doing ourselves any favors. But to be fair with you, you know, our directors sometimes, they'll have a little bit of window watching, but they're not really here to pay that type of money and those types of fees. I'm going to tell you guys one mad thing. This deal's not completely over, but it's not looking good. And from the club's perspective, they see it like this, yeah? If they can't get Maignan, the other keeper they would target would be James Trafford's. Now, at the moment, Newcastle are trying to secure a deal for Trafford's, but he would be next on the list, and it just continues this man cityification of our football club, basically. I think if Maignan doesn't come, it will be an absolute disgrace, especially the manner in which this deal has fallen through. Now, a little bit of context has been provided from outlets like The Athletic, and I actually think there was one piece of news here which really supports everything that I'm saying and provides further context. It does involve Christian Pulisic, and as it says here, we saw the sale of Pulisic to Milan in 2023 for 20 mil euros as part of the reasoning behind why we don't want to be paying that type of money for Maignan. Obviously, he only had 12 months at the time, but he was young. International prospects were really high, and attacking players always go for more money than goalkeepers. It's just how the game works. And we felt like we should have commanded a higher fee. Now, I'm sorry, you guys, but the club has to remember this now, yeah? The reason why we couldn't get higher fees was because of the business you did. You decided to buy a full 11's worth of players in that January window, whilst you already had a lot of players that couldn't get moves and are already here. You basically communicated and told Europe, we've got discards right now. You know, we're stacked. This is too much players to realistically handle. It's going to be impossible to get the maximum value for these types of sales whilst doing more business. We kind of played our hand. And this is why players went for less money. Now, Milan, of course, softened things by striking a deal for both Loftus-Cheek and Pulisic together. But I think it's kind of mad that this is one of the main reasons behind why the club lowballed near the end and backtracked on the offer they were set to make to get this deal secured. Now, a report did come out from Calcio Masato, and it did reveal that actually there was a 4 million valuation difference that could have seen this deal get struck and go over the line. And obviously, if you guys are doing the math based on what I'm seeing, you know, from our 21 mil euro offer to the 25 mil we originally agreed upon, obviously you're doing the math, that's a 4 million valuation difference. And it's not that much, right? It's not that big. I think it's ridiculously ballsy that our directors are doing this. And I think to myself sometimes, why is it that these guys can kind of always find themselves in this position? And I've always just had this sneaking suspicion that when you have too many cooks all at once, you know, you got Shields and Maresca wanting targets, Stewart wanting his man, Winsley wanting his. Like, how do you really just like, you know, come in full 100% sync on everything? Yeah. Like, how does it work? Is it like maybe Winsley's like, you know what, Stewart, I can't accept it for this money. I think we can get less. You know, the player said he doesn't want to be at AC Milan anymore. Like, Milan don't have much legs to stand on. But not going to play any Club World Cup tax. We can't be looking like we're jumped to the rest of Europe, that we're going to pay the money that we want when there's so many players we are looking at right now in this market. So whatever deal you might have struck, Stuart, me, Winsley, this is something I can't fully support based on what it communicates to all the clubs that we're looking at in terms of the players that we want from them. That is just like my personal way in which I see things, because not going to lie, these guys don't necessarily have the best reputation at times all the time. And does that simply come down to the fact that there's too many cooks in the kitchen wanting different things, asking for different things, yeah? It's not unified enough. And I was saying there's one thing I have to see in this window is unity. If we're going to bridge the gap now and push on and really just like take advantage of CL football, if there's no unity behind decisions for everything right now, then I don't know what the hell we're doing, to keep it real. So I'm really disappointed that this is the nonsense that we found ourselves in behind why this deal now is off. It might not be off forever. There's few small saving graces behind things. One of the main things to remember is that the competition cutoff is a bit different. So obviously Maignan is annoyed because he wanted to play in the Club World Cup. Obviously, it's a big tournament to play in. Yeah, he wanted to be there for the group stages. But there's a possibility that we can register him if we strike a deal again. Yeah, and that registration period is from the 27th of June to the 3rd of July. That's nearly over 2 weeks. Who knows what could happen then? Speculation, my part. Could you see more pressure from Maresca, who might be thinking, what the hell are you doing? It's public knowledge now that I don't want Robert Sanchez. Yeah, even the goalkeeping coach, Ben Roberts, who that's his love child. Yeah, even he's saying Maignan, who's about right now, this is the guy that you go for. Yeah, you've encouraged maybe West Ham to feel like there's a potential move now for Sanchez. And when it's public knowledge that the manager doesn't rate any of the goalkeepers, you can't kind of undermine him now by now having to work with all these guys again when they know what's really going on. Like, can Maresca potentially say something? Are we going to see something else now? Because I think it's a bit crazy that we've kind of undermined the possibilities for our Club World Cup efforts by not signing the right perfect players the manager needs, especially in the time that's needed. I'm sorry. Enrique, the perfect example of a club and a manager working in tandem, and they won the treble last season. Yeah, this is the type of unified cooperation across the club that you need to push on to those big heights right now. And yet again, conversations will come up around, you know, how solid our directors are. And for myself, can we survive by having two directors all the time now? Why do we even have two? I've always thought that out of all the clubs around, why do we have two directors? Yeah, is that not going to bring up some communication differences? I'm not too sure. We watch the space to see what happens, man. But as I'm saying, it's not necessarily dead just yet. Things can still change. We've seen it time and time again. Yeah, it's not the first time we've done this. Once upon a time we went for Caicedo, the move was dead. Came back again once we got the call from the big guys and your Barley's and co from the top. Enzo Fernandez was a similar thing. Remember in January, the move died. Enzo started kissing his badge. The move picked up again near the end, and the rest was history. This move isn't 100% dead, even though we are looking at potential other alternatives. But I just think at the moment, how these directors have allowed negotiations to transpire is a bit mad, to be honest. And it doesn't help your reputation, which isn't already great in Europe as it is. You can't be saying that you're going to agree upon something. I think the terms are even fair. 19 mil and 6 mil add-ons. That isn't even a guaranteed 6 mil, yeah? I think that's a bit mad that you can maybe split your mind up near the end and lowball. And this is why everyone right now is very upset, very annoyed. I feel for Maignan. Players don't like being fooled around and messed around, especially when he did his part saying, I want out, I don't want to be here, and this is how you're treating the guy. So we'll see what happens within 2 weeks, my friends. Let's see what happens. But anyway, we now move on to the next story. And I want to discuss the updates surrounding Jamie Gittens. So my friends, let me just quickly switch up the stats and the graphics real quick. But we have updates on Gittens. I'm keeping things very, very brief. Yes, we know we've agreed a 7 mil, contract with the player. The player wants to come here. He wants to play for us. Of course, we know that it's Shields and Maresca have really pushed for the signing as well. He suits us tactically, but Dortmund are adamant. They want 50 million. That 50 million will be 42 million up front, 8 mil add-ons. That is a type of structure they can accept for a deal like this. But the club are seeing it other ways. Number one, if Dortmund are that strict in the valuation, we just won't buy him because we just don't value him that way. And I was told it's kind of like this. When there's better options available in the market, and the example that was used specifically was Mohamed Kudus, a player the club have liked for a very long time. Yeah. When Dortmund's valuation is kind of near like the entry point of conversations for a Kudus, why are you going to sign Gittens for an overinflated value when you can maybe spend more time on a Kudus to strike things, right? Let's see what happens there with that one. Obviously, Gittens and Dortmund, I feel like I get what Dortmund are saying. They know that there's interest from other clubs that's around there. There's no desperation for them to have to sell before the Club World Cup starts because they are participating in the tournament and they feel that maybe, with more competition, other clubs will come through, make their, interests known, and they could earn more money compared to our first bids of 30 million plus 5 million in add-ons, which was too low for them. I can see why we started things low to try and keep the negotiations on the terms that we want. But from the club's perspective, we think that Dortmund aren't making sense because if it's kind of well known that there's no fit for Gittens in Kovac's system, what's the chances that he's going to play much in the Club World Cup? So what's the chances that there's going to be big competition that's going to really push that price up even more? Now, of course, Arsenal have shown interest. Other clubs like that have shown interest as well. But again, is that going to be enough to really boost things up to 50 million that Dortmund want? Probably not. But maybe Dortmund know this, but they just want more money than what we're looking to offer. Something around 40 million plus is a lot more respectful, I guess, compared to maybe offers under 40 million at this point in time. But the club are very strict. Listen, we're not going to be paying above odds for Jamie Gittens. If it doesn't happen at the terms and value that we want, then forget this deal. We'll go on to other things. So that's that with that one. But very quickly, I guess I've got some small little updates as well on ekitike. Again, a bit of a negative one, but I'm sure you guys can probably imagine what I'm about to say with this one. But yeah, at the moment, my friends, just don't expect anything with ekitike at this point in time because the valuation difference is too far. We're only willing to pay up to 75 mil euros for ekitike. That is still under the 100 million that Frankfurt are holding out for. Of course, they don't feel desperate to have to sell for undervalue. They have CL football. They're safe financially. They're good. This now gives Liverpool a bit of an opening because Liverpool are trying to sell Darwin Núñez, and the interest between Núñez and Saudi clubs is very key behind this because they feel like if there was efforts to get Ekitike, the sale money of Núñez is going to help towards that. Now, as I said, Ekitike has been keeping his options open. He is happy to leave Frankfurt, but he will only leave once terms have been satisfied. Otherwise, if they're not, he will calmly stay another season at Frankfurt. He's not that fussed. So if we really want our man, we'll have to pay above odds. But at the moment, we don't want to. But I keep hearing this and I think to myself, then who are we going to sign then? Because if this is like the little bits of quality and you don't want to be paying the top money for like those few players that can increase and boost the quality of the team, what's the money going to be spent on? Value players that don't necessarily have like that extra star potential to take the team forward. I'm not too sure, to be fair with you. And it's just like, this is the type of window I'm praying it doesn't descend into, where it's just a lot of time wasted, a lot of fluff, a lot of silly negotiations over small little differences here and there. That is just undermining the coach and everything, especially during the summer where there's no preseason and time is of the essence. Time is valuable. You need players together, working together with the manager quickly. Yeah. Our rivals around us are buying. City have bought 3 players already. Liverpool securing their deals as well. Everyone is moving fast other than us, only just signing Liam Delap at the moment. So we have to see what happens with this one, my friends. And I guess for another update as well, Man United are also kind of hovering around Maignan. They've been following the negotiations. Now, Maignan said, I only want CL football, but Man United know they have the money and that they can really offer him big wages. And they're going to see if there's a possibility to see if there's a deal here for Maignan. So that's everything for me today, my friends. I'm sure there'll be more updates and videos today. Share your thoughts and opinions, and I'll catch you guys later. Love.